I knew something was terribly wrong the morning I walked past my manager's office and saw my own termination paperwork sitting on his desk, unsigned but prepared, like a shovel waiting beside an open grave. My name was printed at the top, my hire date, my position, all of it laid out like a story someone else had already finished writing for me. I'm 58 years old, and I've spent more than half my life working at Midway Distribution, a concrete warehouse office hybrid with buzzing fluorescent lights and hallways that smell like burnt coffee and stress. Back in the early years, people stayed here for decades. We trained each other, covered shifts, celebrated birthdays with grocery store cake. Loyalty meant something. But loyalty had become a liability long before Kyle arrived. Kyle was young, mid-30s, sharp, polished, always speaking in crisp corporate dialect. Efficiency, optimization, resource alignment. The words sounded harmless, but they carried the same meaning every time. We need fewer people, and cheaper ones. He treated me with theatrical respect at first. Always sir, always too polite, always too careful. But slowly, the tone changed. It began with small things. A report I submitted never reached upper management. An email I wrote wasn't received. A shipment count I verified came back inaccurate. Each time, Kyle forwarded the issue with a note that felt like a gentle stab. Mark, please tighten this up. Buddy, sir, pal. All the friendly words that sound like warnings once you hear them often enough. The company had been restructuring for months. Older employees quietly disappeared. Early retirements, voluntary departures, cost reductions. We all knew what it really meant. Every week, someone packed their belongings into a box. Every week, an empty chair appeared in the cafeteria. By the time HR summoned me, I'd already felt the ground shifting beneath my feet. The meeting was in Conference Room B, crooked blinds, flickering light, the ghost of a dead plant in the corner. Denise from HR placed a folder on the table, a PIP, a performance improvement plan, the corporate equivalent of a loaded gun placed gently on the table between you and the people who want you gone. Declining accuracy. Missed deadlines. Unreliable reporting. I stared at the page. I didn't miss those deadlines, I said. I double-checked those counts. I sent every one of those emails. Kyle sighed with rehearsed disappointment. Perception is reality, he said softly. And right now, the perception isn't good. I signed the PIP because I needed the job, because at 58, you don't jump ship. You cling to whatever part of the deck is still above water. And I worked. God, I worked. Earlier mornings, later nights, no lunches, no breaks, no small talk. But the mistakes continued. Changes appeared in the system under my login while I wasn't at my desk. Sometimes while I wasn't even in the building. My coworkers began avoiding me. Conversations stopped when I walked by. Even the warehouse guys, usually loud and joking, grew quiet around me. It felt like dying slowly, professionally, socially, invisibly. The breaking point came during a high-value shipment for our biggest client. I personally checked every pallet, every SKU, every count. But at 12:18 p.m., while I was eating a sandwich in my car, I supposedly altered the entire order in the system. When Kyle called me into his office, the printout was already waiting. "This is a serious error, Mark," he said. "Clients lose trust over mistakes like this." I stared at the timestamp. "I wasn't here," I said. "I wasn't even at my desk." Kyle folded his hands. "Then we have an even bigger problem, either with honesty or with your ability to secure your workstation." That was the first moment I knew with sickening certainty that I was being set up. 2 days later, I heard voices near the janitor's closet while heading toward the vending machines. Janice's voice, small, shaky, then Kyle's, calm, controlled. I froze. "I can't keep doing this," Janice whispered. "He's starting to notice." "He won't prove anything," Kyle replied. "And you want those extra hours, right? You want coverage for your son's therapy?" Silence. A soft sob. "I didn't agree to frame him." "You agreed to keep your job," Kyle snapped quietly. "And older workers with higher salaries are the logical reductions." Logical. As if my life was a math equation. I accidentally shifted my weight, and the floor groaned beneath me. The voices stopped. The door opened. Kyle stared at me with an expression that flickered. Shock, then calculation, then the smooth smile he always used in meetings. "Mark," he said calmly, "what brings you down here?" I looked at Janice. She wouldn't look back. "I just wanted a soda," I said, but something in me had already changed. Fear had turned into resolve. That night, at the dinner table, I opened my laptop and dug through 3 months of system logs. Timestamps, access points, machine IDs, audit trails. I followed every thread. The patterns were undeniable. My login used on systems only managers had access to. My credentials active while I was off the clock. Reports edited minutes before they were flagged as errors. Every mistake Kyle blamed me for originated from terminals assigned to management, terminals assigned to him. I printed everything. Then the next morning, instead of going to HR, I went to a small office most people didn't even know existed, internal audit. Robert, the auditor, read my documents without interrupting. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He just read, slowly, carefully, page after page. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "This isn't miscommunication," he said. "This is targeted manipulation and potentially fraud." My chest tightened. "What do I do?" "Document everything," he said. "And don't confront anyone. Let us handle the next step." 2 days later, the next step arrived. Conference room B again. But this time, the seating arrangement was different. I sat on one side, HR on another, Robert beside them, and across from us, trying to maintain composure, was Kyle. Robert opened the folder. "Before we address Mark's performance," he said, "we need to discuss the pattern of unauthorized system access traced to devices assigned to your office." Kyle swallowed. "This is a misunderstanding." Robert placed the logs on the table. Timestamps showing edits made when I was off-site. Access records tied to his terminal. Discrepancies aligned exactly with the moments he had forwarded concerns. And then Janice's written statement. When Kyle read it, his face drained of color. I was under pressure," he stammered. "Corporate wants reductions. They don't care how we get there. Older employees cost more. They told us to clean up the numbers." He gestured toward me with a desperate hand. He was going to be cut anyway. I just made the documentation clearer. I'd expected anger. What I felt instead was something heavier. Grief. Grief for the place I had given my life to. Grief for the people who were too afraid to fight back. Grief for the version of myself that once believed hard work protected you. The aftermath was quiet. Kyle resigned. HR cleared my record. My PIP vanished. Janice was transferred after admitting everything. They apologized. The kind of legal apology that isn't about guilt, only liability. They offered me counseling, vacation days, a small raise. None of it mattered. The building didn't feel like a workplace anymore. It felt like a place I'd escaped from. 6 months later, I took early retirement. Now I consult part-time for a small company that still looks people in the eye. Some nights I still wake at 3 a.m., heart racing, expecting another urgent message accusing me of something I didn't do, but it passes because I know this. Betrayal at work rarely arrives loudly. Sometimes it comes as a missing email, a changed number, a coworker avoiding your eyes, little cuts that bleed you out slowly. But if you speak up, if you drag the truth into the light, they can't erase you. Not your story, not your worth, not your dignity. And in the end, that was the one thing they never got to take from me.